What's up, everybody? My name is Candace Waters, also known as C_International, the one that says head up, chest out, have a great day. I am so excited to be featured on The Only One TV. I hope you enjoy our conversation today.
I am here with Candace Waters. She's an influencer, content creator, and motivational speaker. Candace, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Listen, so you were really doing your thing in the social media space, and you really got your start in 2017. Can you tell us what led to you wanting to become a content creator?
So in 2017, I was living in New Orleans, Louisiana, and before Instagram became like this aesthetically pleasing app, you used to just get on there and post like whatever. So me living in New Orleans, I would always post like content, just me being funny, like me being goofy, me having a day at work. And people would always say like, Candace, you need a vlog. Like you are literally like a walking show. Like you need a vlog. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. So what's so crazy is like I had started dating this guy and then like it went bad. So I was like, you know what? Let's just hop into it. Let's do it. So I created Candace's Corner literally in 2017. And then like what happened is I was more so focused on the YouTube channel, and I would just put clips from the YouTube channel on Instagram. And then one of my friends, he was like, "You really need to get on TikTok." And I was just like, "For what?" He was like, "No, you need to be over there." And I'm like, "That's a dancing app. It's for kids. Like I'm a grown woman. Like no."
Right.
And during the pandemic, I actually got a contract to work with TikTok. And so I started making TikTok videos. And they specifically told me, like, hey, we don't want this to just be a dancing app. We want people to learn stuff. So pick a field and teach. And I was like, oh, well, I motivate people on YouTube. So I'm going to do that. And so what happened was I started motivating people on TikTok. And then, like, I was like, okay, wait, hold on. All right, so I'm gonna do this full time. Like, well, not full time because I have a job, but I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm gonna make this my thing. So I started on TikTok. TikTok grew faster, and then like I switched around my content, and then it kind of just took off on Instagram. And so that's kind of how I got into like being a content creator. Kind of like I don't want to say it fell in my lap, but it was like, yeah, I guess I don't know if
Meant to be.
I don't know if I'd say like fell in my lap, but yeah, that's kind of how I got into content creation. Yeah.
So let's go back to when TikTok like reached out to you and like you have this contract. Were you like, oh my gosh? Or you're like, I mean, I'm that girl. Like, how are you? How did you receive that?
So my brother and my sister-in-law were on the app before me, and they were like working on content. And so they needed more content creators. And my brother was like, hey, my sister makes content. He suggested to the talent manager, like, hey, my sister makes content. Talent manager looks at my content. They have the contract with TikTok. He's like, yeah, we love you. So I'm like, okay, cool. Like in my mind, I'm like, I'm about to get this bag. Like that's what I'm like, I'm about to get a check. So literally I had to apply. I had a whole bunch of rules that I had to follow. I actually don't even know if I'm supposed to tell you that. I didn't sign an NDA. We're good. So like, am I supposed to tell her that? Yeah, I didn't sign any NDAs. Not that I remember. Hopefully not. Anyway, so I signed the contract and I have a whole bunch of rules and guidelines that I have to follow. And so I'm supposed to educate TikTok. It was literally like educate TikTok. That was the hashtag. And literally, the talent manager was like, this is beyond us. Like you going viral, that's not us. Like we don't push your videos. Like you're just really a natural at this. And so when the contract was up and my time was done, everybody else that was in it was like, I'm done. But I kept going because it was like the people were asking me like, well, what do you think about this? And and so I kind of like, while everybody was dancing on TikTok during quarantine, it was like my safe space. Like I loved making the content. I loved meeting new people because I think with TikTok, you grow faster and quicker. So your audience, like you're meeting new people every day versus Instagram, it takes a little minute for you to get your audience and like kind of get your voice out there. So yeah, that's kind of how it happened. And I didn't think I was that girl. It was more so like, okay, cool. Like, I'm just trying to get my check. Like,
Yeah, run me that money.
yeah, like run me my bag so I can get out of here. And then it became like, something else. So yeah, that's kind of how it was.
And also, and you mentioned the pandemic, in 2020, you started to integrate your weight loss journey into your content. So can you talk to me a little bit about what that state of vulnerability was like for you?
Yeah. So before the pandemic, I was huge. And I actually like started working out. I'm still a little big. I got my weight back, but we're back in the gym.
You look great, Candace.
Thank you. So before the pandemic started, maybe like 2019, I had started like working out a little bit. But in 2020, when we were like January 1st, I really locked in, and then we got like locked in the house. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm here, I'm gonna come out a different person. Like while everybody else is eating snacks, I'm gonna lose weight. So I was working out like 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm working out. And while I was working out, like people were telling me like, "Yo, you're shrinking." Like I could kind of tell, like it's in your face, and da 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 da. And so I just am so transparent that I don't mind sharing my business. So I just started showing people I was working out. I didn't have a problem. Like I am so transparent. Like I don't mind. Like there's nothing that you can write about me that I haven't already told the world. So it's like whatever. Yeah, I'm losing weight, and so I just started incorporating it in my content. And then like people were like, you know what? If you can do it, I want to do it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And so it was never to start a revolution of people losing weight. It was just like, this is what I'm doing in the house. Like I'm making TikTok videos. I'm eating right. I'm changing my diet. I'm working out. And this is what I'm doing. And people liked it. And so that's kind of how it went. And I think also just me being very transparent about being a bigger girl and, the stamina that comes around fat phobia and just like talking about it, being transparent about it. I think that's kind of what drew people to it. And so I just was like, yeah, I'm losing weight. And so now like I'm losing weight again and people are like, you're doing it again. And I'm like, yeah, I'm tired, but let's go. And so they're like, well, you got me inspired to go to the gym. I'm like, well, yeah, I think for me, when I started losing weight, the reason why I wanted to lose weight wasn't because like I was one hamburger away from death. It was more so like I knew that God has something for me to do in this earth, right? And I also knew I couldn't do it in the shape that I was in. Like I was exhausted. Like I would be walking up the stairs and I'd be like, whew, I'm wore out. Or I would sing and I was just not in the best shape of my life. And so I wanted to get in shape because I was like, I don't want to die early and like not be able to do what I'm supposed to do, like whatever God called me to do. So that's why I started working out. And literally, the reason why I'm back in the gym is the same reason. Like I know that there's something that I have to do in this earth, and it requires your, best self. It requires your body to be well, and I think it was really a good reminder also, because I think sometimes as Christians, like we're all about like, you have to be faith based and you have to be these different things, but I'm also like, you got to take care of your temple too, right? So like that's a part of it. Like you can't be all these things spiritual but have a bad temple. And so it was like a good, yeah, that's really what it was, to be honest.
And what did you learn about yourself during that journey?
I literally learned that like there's nothing you can tell me. There's nothing I can do. That's really what I learned. Like if I can discipline myself, and when I say discipline, like counting calories and working out 3 times a day, showing up to the gym, being consistent. Once I'm unstoppable. There's nothing you can't tell me I cannot do. If I put my mind to it, I can do it. And so what was so crazy is like when I went before like we went into the house for COVID, I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor, I had just started losing weight, maybe like 5, 10 pounds. And she was saying like, you need to lose weight. And I was like, yeah, I'm on it. I'm like, I'm working on it. And I was like, I'm going to lose this amount of weight. She was like, let's not get carried away. And I was like, oh, bet. Okay.
On game time.
Like all foot on gas, no brakes. And the next time I came to her, she's like, you lost a lot of weight. I was like, yeah, I know. Go ahead and give me my little chart so I can get out of here. Like, I already know, like you were doubting me. And so for me, losing weight was more so like, I'm a lock in. It's like pushing yourself, like making yourself do something that you don't normally do. So like losing weight, doing it naturally, not saying like, everybody got their things, right? But doing it naturally, showing up in the gym, body being worn out, learning how to eat, breaking bad habits. There's nothing I cannot achieve, period. Like that's really what it taught me. Like you can do whatever you put your mind to, whatever you have the discipline to do. And showing up is half of the battle. Like showing up and controlling your habits and like getting healthy here. So that's literally what the weight loss has taught me, honestly.
And so you also started after, integrating the weight loss, and then you started to integrate utilizing the stories of well-known celebrities and, I mean, authors, directors, producers. But your first person that you featured on one of your Instagram reels was Jennifer Hudson.
Right.
And she actually saw the video and you're a big fan of her. So what was that like? Like, what made you want to make that pivot as well?
That honestly, I wish I could say like I had an amazing. I don't know. Like I don't even know if I was watching a Jennifer Hudson story. I just knew stuff about Jennifer Hudson, and literally the message came to me, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna make this video. Did I think the video was gonna do what it did? No. Did I think Jennifer Hudson was going to DM me about the video? Also, no. Did I think Jennifer Hudson was going to follow me? No, I didn't. Like, it was never like, I'm going to make this series about celebrities. It was really like, I had just posted a video about Noah and it did well. And then I knew about Jennifer Hudson. Like, I knew her, I knew she lost American Idol, and I had watched the Oprah documentary a while ago where she was on Oprah and basically saying like the night that people could vote for her side of Chicago lost power, right? And so I was just like, from what I know, I'm gonna just tell the story. And I told the story, and the rest was like chaotic. Like when that night, like I think I had posted it on a Wednesday and I was in California. Friday, I'm out at with my coworkers and my team, and my phone is just dinging, and I'm like, "What is going on? Like, what is happening? Did somebody die?" Because my phone never dings like this, and it's Jennifer Hudson on Twitter, and it's Instagram, and it's Facebook, and it's crazy. Like Shaquille O'Neal's reposting it, and all these celebrities. I'm like, "What is going on?" And so, like, I DM'd her. I'm like, "Thank you for sharing." She's like, "No, thank you for doing this." And I'm like, "Girl, not you just talking Jennifer Hudson now. Hold on, wait."
Yeah.
And so it was crazy. Like it just happened so fast. And then like the rest kind of became history. Like then it became like people began to anticipate um more videos like, oh, who are you gonna do next? Like you should do this celebrity. And I'm like, well, it's kind of not like that. So now it's like I just knew facts about Jennifer Aniston. Now I actually have to do my research. Like if I'm coming in there, if I'm talking about celebrity, I've actually done research, and it's actually a little bit harder to create the content. But yeah, the message came to me right then and there. Like it was like boom, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna post it and move on out the way. And that's literally what I did. And then the rest was like crazy.
It's so interesting to just hear you say that, because that's what drew me to your page. Is like we're all affirmed that we're not the only person that's going through our current trials or situations. And I will personally say to you that your content has helped me. Highlighting individuals and even yourself. Like you said, your authenticity irradiates, and you're not afraid to be you, especially in a world that pushes us to try to be something else that we're not. So thank you for that. and evident, right, when you are doing and working in your purpose, that God will elevate you, and he can always reach the masses more than we can just do ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's a really amazing. And keeping in theme with that, I do want to go back to your story in college, right? You wanted to study initially psychology, I believe it was.
I changed my major like 5 times. So. Like it started like if I could tell you what I wanted to be, it's a long journey, but that was one of the majors I had. Yes, you're right. That is.
And then you end up transitioning to communications, and you're like,
I went from psychology to political science, from political science to communication. Yeah.
You were gonna figure it out.
I was, but the thing was, I always wanted to help people, right? So like even before that, like I wanted to be a social worker, and my mom was like, they don't make any money. I was like, oh, I don't want to be broke.
I wanted it anymore.
And so then it was like, I want to work for the NAACP, and my mom was like, well, they're kind of broke. I said, I don't want to be broke. And so then I want to be a psychologist. My mom was like, well, you won't be broke, but you got to go a lot of school. And so then I was like, I was really into government in high school. Like there's nothing you could tell me about government. I want to, so I wanted to be like a speaker of the house. And see, like it always, and then I sat with my government teacher and he told me what it entails. I was like, I'm going into TV. Like, don't worry about it. I'm gonna be into journalism. I'm gonna work for CNN because clearly I have a gift of speaking. So I was like, I think I should be like on TV. That's what it was. And so I majored in communication, specifically the digital track. So the way our school worked is you could split it up. You could go journalism, like you wanted to be a writer, you wanted to work editorials and news articles, or you could go digital, which could put you into media, public relations, or like movies and acting. So I went to the digital side, and yeah, that's kind of how it took off from there. So like I was with the camera like all 4 years of college. Like you saw me in the lab, or I had to create movies, I had to create projects. So that's kind of how it, yeah.
And so then after you finally landed on your your study,
Yeah.
um, you graduated and you wanted to land a dream job at CNN. I
Yeah.
believe you interned there too, correct? Or
No. So I had applied for an internship with this company called T. Howard Foundation, and they specifically find internships for Black students, HBCUs. And so I had got into the program, and I'm ready to rock and roll. And I had applied for the one for CNN, and it fell through. So that was maybe like my senior year, first semester, and so it fell through. So after I graduated, yeah, my dream was to work for CNN, and it did not go the way I planned it, but I think it's working out better for me. I think CNN would have fired me, to be honest. I'm a little too radical. I think they would have let me go. I think they would have let me go for sure. For sure. For sure.
but like you said, everything has worked out and is working out well for you. Um,
Yeah.
but there was a season
Mhm.
when everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Yes.
So let's talk about right before you were going to turn 30. You moved to
Oh,
Atlanta, going after a six-figure job. Let's talk about that and just how your world was just turned upside down.
ooh, girl, we're in therapy because of that. So so I moved to New Orleans right after college, and I stayed in New Orleans for about 7 years. And I always had dreams of like I always said like I want to move to Atlanta. Like all of my friends can attest that I'm gonna move to Atlanta. I'm gonna do something with media. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Blah 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 blah. So 2021, after the pandemic, well, still in the pandemic, my sister was living in Atlanta, and she made a deal with me. She's like, "Look, you can come to Atlanta and you can stay with me for a year." And I'm like, bet, cool. So I started applying, and it's crazy. I started applying in like maybe May. By August, I had a job in my hand, right? And it was making six figures. And it was literally to make YouTube videos. This is how crazy it was. I was making six figures to make YouTube videos for this company. That's all they wanted me to do.
Wow.
That's it. And because I had content for them to see, they hired me. Because they saw that I could do YouTube and I had a personality, they're like, hands down, right? So August, I got the job. I quit my other job. Well, there's a storm that happened. So I'm, shipped to Florida, waiting for the storm to die down in New Orleans, come back, pack up my life, and I move. I drive 6 hours to Atlanta. I'm ready to start my life. Like it's officially happening for me. Like you get paid to be a content creator. Who is complaining, right?
Right.
And you make six figures more than you've ever made in your whole entire life. Like you're moving to Atlanta, you're about to make like you about to be with Tyler Perry in my mind, right? And I'm like, yes, this is it. And that's August. All right. So I'm 29. I turned 30 December 1st. The company, I kind of knew the company was jank, but I was holding on because it was a nice little paycheck. Um, December 1st, the guy calls me and he says, yeah, so we're gonna let you go. Um, and I feel terrible about it. And he was like crying on the phone. I was like, boy, please be for real. Cause you gotta like, so he's like, we're gonna terminate you. And I'm like, okay, cool. So December 1st, I'm let go. And December 25th, I turned 30. All right. So from 2021, the end of 2021, all the way up till July of 2022, chaos, like mental chaos. I could not fathom why the heck God would allow me to leave New Orleans. Like here we are thinking like, yeah, we on the good foot. We about to opportunity and door, and every door is closed in my face. Like, what was the purpose of you doing this? Like, if I knew that you were going to let me get a nice job, let me make some money, start looking a little, I'm skinny now, life going good, money up. And you mean to tell me you're going to bring me here and close the door in my face? So literally, I had dealt with depression in college, but I ain't never dealt with it like this. I think for that whole year, it was the darkest I had ever been. But the crazy thing is, nobody knew. Like when they say you can be a functioning, some people can function during depression. I can't. I was making content depressed. I was encouraging people depressed, but I was depressed. And so I just felt like God had left me because also I wasn't getting any answers. Like I'm asking God, like, what are you doing? And it's like crickets. I'm like, let me ask you this one more time.
So maybe you didn't hear me the first.
Maybe like there's a disconnect. And I'm in my mind, I'm feeling like, why has thou forsaken me? Like, what did I do? Like, and I'm going back to trace my steps and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I applied for a job with this media television called Up TV. I get like to the third interview. I'm thinking I'm about to get hired. The job disappears. I'm like, what in the world? So the crazy thing was, I lost my job December 1st. This is how I know God was with me every single step of the way. December 3rd, December 2nd, I hopped on Instagram and I was talking about how I lost my job. Well, my previous employer followed me on Instagram. And so she's listening to the story. She contacts my old boss and she's like, Candace just lost her job. And my old boss loved me. My old boss is like, does she want to come back to New Orleans? And I'm like, no, I just got here.
Right.
So my old boss literally gives me a contract. She's like, here, you can have your old job back from this date to this date. When I say that I never lost a paycheck, I never lost a paycheck. Like
Wow.
I was fired December 1st. By December 3rd, I had a job in my hand. I never lost a paycheck. Like there's a scripture that says, I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor the seed go begging for bread. I am a witness. I never lost a paycheck. Was the paycheck as big as the one before? No. But it was the fact that I could pay my bills. So the whole entire time you are paying me a contract to work a job, but you're also paying me to look for another job because that's basically what I was doing. So I keep applying for jobs. Nothing's hitting, nothing's hitting, nothing's hitting. So at this point in May, my contract's about to end. No job. I had to go to New Orleans so I could fulfill the part of my contract, which is where I had to come to an event. So I come to the event. I have an interview with the company I'm at now, the first interview, first round. I'm like, all right, it's crunch time, Lord. Like the contract's about to end and I got no job. So May 13th, I leave. I go to Mexico after I leave New Orleans, have a good time. While I'm in Mexico, I get a second call back for another interview with the company I'm at now. I'm like, cool, cool, whatever. So, mind you, my contract was supposed to end May 30th. My boss comes back and says, I'm going to extend your contract to June 30th. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. So, now I'm still meeting with the company I'm at now, but it's a lot of steps. All right. So, June 30th comes. I got no offers. No, excuse me. June 29th comes. June 30th, my contract ends. My boss says, come bring your laptop. All right, so I had an interview with this company just to see if I could do it. And literally the lady told me she was gonna get back with me in 2 weeks. That lady hired me the next day, June 29th, right? So, and this is the crazy part. So June 30th, my boss says, mail your laptop in, you good. I'm gonna pay you out. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, all right, Lord, here we go. Like we just leaping out here on faith because I got nothing. I mailed my laptop by 12 p.m. By 3 p.m., I had an offer for six figures in my hand.
Wow.
And it wasn't the job I wanted because I wanted to work for the company I was with. But it was the fact that God was showing me, like, I have been here every single step of the way. And you can trust me even in the seasons that you can't trace me. Okay. Like, you can trust me I will not leave you. I promise you. Like, I'm not that type of God. You can trust my character. So, literally, June 30th, I got an offer. And then July, I write the company I'm with now. I'm like, look, I got an offer and I need to let them know what you got. So then they come and give me an offer. And so from the end of 2021 until 2022 summer, it was literally to test my faith. Honestly, I really don't even think it's about testing my faith. I think the reason I went through everything I went through is so that I could stand here and tell people that God is still good. How can you tell people God is good if you've never had bad situations? How can you tell God that? How can you tell people? How will they believe you if you say God provides if you've never been broke? I have. I'm like, nah, he provides. Like the scriptures mean different meanings to me now. Like the stories are real life to me now because it's like that was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And not a lot of people knew because I kept making content. Not a lot of people knew, you know what I'm saying? Even my content changed. At one point, I was literally posting prayers every week and they're going viral. And they are the depths of my heart. I am crying out, asking the Lord to help. People are like, repost, repost. And I'm like, oh my God, like that wasn't what we were going for. And I remember right before I knew my season was going to change, I was at this church called Change Church, which is Darius Daniels, and he had a change night. And he preached this sermon called You Do Not Need Closure. And it was about Job. And he was saying, like, remember, Job never asked for this. God said, have you tried my servant Job? And he said, what I want you to understand is Job did not understand why he was going through what he was going through. He asked God numerous times. He said, if God supplies everything we need, if God knew you needed closure, he would have gave you some. So stop asking why this is happening to you. You don't need closure to get into the next season. That day, I literally came out of the depression that day. Like I'm on the floor at church, like, oh my God, okay. Like you don't need closure. Like I know you felt like I abandoned you, but I didn't. And I know you don't understand why you had to go through this. And I know it doesn't feel good. And I know you think I left you and you don't know what I'm doing, but you don't need closure like for this next season. And so July, I enjoy my month off. And in August, I start my new job. And it's like in August, which is the month of new beginnings, 8 is a month of new beginnings. In August, I literally had to get myself in therapy. That was the first thing I did because I was so jaded by everything that happened. Like, yeah, God is good, but we're not going to talk about the trauma that comes from these seasons. So I got into therapy. And a year later, this next August, I'm walking into a brand new house that I bought from the ground up. I literally have watched my content soar. Like, so when I say all things work together for your good, they just don't feel good. Like the stuff that I make, I don't really care. I mean, I hope y'all get inspired, but I really don't care. Some of this stuff I live. Like I can sit here and I can tell you that God is good because I've had bad days. I can sit here and tell you, like, if you were to put me next to the three Hebrew boys and they talking about God, I'm like, nah, they might have went through the fiery furnace, but I'm telling you, like, I've been through it. So yeah, like that last year, 2022 has been, it was a whirlwind for me. And literally when I went into 2023, I told God, I said, I want double. I said, everything that you took, I want double. I want joy. I want peace. I was like, I don't want to sit here and have this trauma and these scars. And it has been a journey. Like I've definitely been in therapy because my therapist will be like, are you waiting for the other shoe to drop? I'll be like, sometimes I got to make sure it's not trick play. Like, hold on. Last time I did this, the Lord. And so what I've learned in that year is one, you can trust God's timing and his character because he's proven to be the same. He does not change. I know that without a fact. Like the same God who rescued Daniel from the lions and saved the three Hebrew boys and then healed the woman with the issue of blood. Like it's like he the same. He don't really stop doing. You know what I'm saying? I can trust his character, and I can also lean on him, like and lean into him. And so even when I was in those depressed states, I was praying more than ever. I was reading more than ever. I was studying more than ever just because like I just knew that he was going to do something. I didn't know how he was going to do it, but I knew he was. So I stand, like, and more people are starting to hear the story. And I'm just like, yeah, like, I don't think the story was for me. I think it was for y'all. And I hope y'all learn this message on the first time because I'm not trying to keep going through these trials for y'all. But literally, I had just actually watched this movie called One Love, and his wife, Rita, Bob Marley's wife, she said, sometimes the messenger becomes the message. That's literally because he couldn't understand why he had to go through what he went through. And she just told him straight up, sometimes the messenger becomes the message. And I think when you're being used by God, please understand you're going to be used every single part of your life. You don't get to pick which part he uses, everything. So even like me going through losing my job, when I made content about these things and people find my video, they're like, I just lost my job today. You just gave me hope. And it's like, you would have never been able to reach that audience if you didn't go through that. And so that is where we are. Like 2022 was a rough year, but it was also a year where I think the Lord did a number on who I was as a person. And I will say that I am better for that. Do I want to go through it again? No, absolutely not.
We good off all that.
Yeah, like I learned my lesson the first time, but I will say it has made me a better individual. Like I sit and I thank God. I'm like, man, you are amazing. And the only way I know you to be amazing is because I've sat in dark situations and didn't know what was going to happen next. So, yeah. that's kind of how it happened. That's my 2022 era.
Literally just like listening to you, I was just becoming emotional. I'm not a big crier,
Ooh,
but I
neither.
was tearing up over here. And especially to hear you talk about, Job, because it's just so, I'm in this season as well where it feels like a Job season.
Mhm.
Um, and the pastor of the church that I attend, Bridge Church in Brooklyn, he just preached about that like 2 Sundays ago. And then I just so happened to open my Bible last night, and literally it was Job, and I just like started reading it because I've never really read Job. You hear the story.
It's a good book.
Yes, and I just was like, wow, like this is me right now. And to hear you say, um, it's not going to be like this always. Um,
Yeah, I get it.
yeah.
I get it. Yeah, I get
Woo,
it. What I
child,
will say, I don't
okay.
mean to make you cry,
This
but
is the first.
what I will say is this: if you study the book of Job, study his emotions.
Mm,
Like, oftentimes people say, like, don't question God, you can't be angry. I was like, Job went through every single emotion that you have.
yeah,
Job was asking why.
yeah,
Job felt anger. He felt, and so literally what I learned is like you can trust God with whatever season you're in, but God is also big enough to handle your questions and emotions.
yeah.
So when the next time you sit in a Job season and you are upset, like, you can give him the anger. Like, I don't understand what you're doing, and I am upset about the situation, but I do trust you with this. Um, Job seasons aren't fun for anybody.
Mhm.
But what I will say is God uses who he can trust. And he
Mm,
trusted Job. Job didn't ask for the trial. The devil was walking around seeing whom he can devour, and the Lord said,
yeah.
have you considered my servant Job?
Mm,
Job minded his business,
yeah.
right? And the
Yeah.
Lord said, have you considered my servant Job? And the trials and tribulations was because God trusted Job.
Mm,
And who God trusts, he can use.
mhm.
So when you're in these seasons and they feel like they're dark, please understand, like, okay, either he's trusting me with something, like he's forming me into something that I'm going to build something that he can trust me with. And if I can just endure, just God, it's not going to feel good. I'm going to cry. I am going to flip out. I'm going to lose. I feel like I'm losing my mind, but I know that you're building me for something. And
Mm,
as you're laying the foundations of the things that are being built, it's not glamorous. Nothing is glamorous when you're building a house, but you got to lay the foundation. And I think a lot of us avoid these Job seasons, but it's in a Job season where God begins to make you into who you are. If I didn't have a Job season, I can't do this. I
mm,
just can't. I don't know. I can't give you. I think you can only speak to the elements of what you've been through. If I never had a Job season, I couldn't tell you God is good. I mean, they say he's good, right? That's what they say.
That's what I heard.
But after having one of the darkest years of my life and thinking God forgot about me and thinking God was going to leave me and thinking God didn't hear me and thinking, like, how could I think such things? But when you're sitting in it, that's how you feel.
Mhm.
You literally feel like, hey, are you listening? Like, there is a disconnect.
Yep.
And yeah, so I think it's okay to have you'll I think even as you get older, you may have more Job seasons. Hopefully they're not as painful.
Yeah.
But I think what you have to understand is, number one, when Job came out, he got double of everything that he lost.
Mm,
But also God used Job. God used Job. And so if you're sitting in a Job season, um, hold your head up. Like, every day you won't want to hold your head up, but hold your head up. Your strength comes from up above. Hold your head up. Do not let what you're looking at defeat you. It's only going to be temporary. Seasons change. I promise you. Fall does not last long. Winter don't last long. Spring and summer don't last. It's a season. And
mm,
if you could just hold on, I promise
mm.
you the season will change. Like, it doesn't feel good. And it feels like, man, God, why aren't you answering me? But I promise you, he's just like, girl, I trust you. Like, just
Yeah.
sit tight. Wait till you see what I got next. Like, can you
Yeah.
relax for a little minute? Yeah, it
Yeah.
don't feel good. And think you're losing your mind, but I promise you, I'm aligning your mind the way it needs to be. So
Mm.
I can't wait to hear what happens for you after you come out of your Job season. I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to hear what happens next, honestly.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And listen, on that note, what advice would you give to someone that is looking to forge a career or a path in this content creator industry?
Be you. I don't make content to go viral. I'm not like, I don't want to be like any other content creator. I could be more paid if I did mommy content. I ain't got no kids, but I could be more paid if I did a typical influencer content. I could be paid if I did this, but I don't think that, like, be authentic. Create content that you like. Create, like, if you are a if your life revolves around the Lord, right? Tell the story. Like, do not try to be anybody else. Because I tried, like, when I first started making content, I was like, I got to make a video like this. And it flopped. I got to make a video like this. And it flopped. And the moment I started making videos that minister to me or give me whatever God gave me, they took off. So be authentic to you. And it takes a minute to figure out what your authentic part is. But what you have to understand is you can't be anybody else because everybody else is taken. And it says your gift will make room for you, not my gift, not Crystal's gift. You have a gift, right? Use the gift authentically the way God gave it to you. And I promise you, you will see him do things. Follow his voice, not what people tell you. Yeah, you should take some tips and tricks from people who make content. Yes, you should look at different things and study the industry, but I'm telling you, some of the things that God wants you to do, you'll be the first to do it. So there is no roadmap. Be authentic. Like, you're gonna build the road. Be authentic. Like, don't conform yourself to what society thinks, because social media is fake anyways. Like, everybody's showing you like their wins, but nobody's showing you the losses, and so be authentic. Like, be your authentic self. I tell people all the time, like, people like, how do you do it? And it's like, it took me 7 years to figure out who I was in this content game. It took me 7 years to even make noise. And I don't even think you found me, right? But I don't even think, like, in me, I feel like I'm touching surface, but everyone's like, no, you're killing it. I'm like, okay, maybe, cool.
It is.
In my mind, though, I'm like, oh no, we haven't killed it yet. And people are like, girl, like, I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. But I think for me, if I could tell anybody that's creating content and wants to start, put the camera up and just be authentic. If you're goofy, show your goofy side. If we got enough everything else. Be you. There's only could be one you. So that would be the first thing I would tell them. That'd be the only thing. Be authentic. The rest, I don't have no roadmap. I don't have no course. Authenticity will top it all.
I love that. Candace, thank you so much for your time today. Like, I am leaving this conversation with something, because this is what you call operating in purpose. Just even in this interview here, I'm touched, and I'm just so thankful for your time.
I appreciate you for having me. Seriously, I'm here. I think that's what I'm purposed to do. So my only mission in life is to make sure I fulfill my purpose and die empty. So I'm glad that I could be of service, and I'm glad that we got the opportunity to connect.
Absolutely.